Welcome to the RFP Success Show with host Lisa Rehurek, the #1 sought-after authority on RFP success. Each week, we bring you information, strategies, or resources to help you win more business through RFPs and have a little fun doing it. Let's get this week's episode started.
Welcome to the RFP Success Show with me, your host, Lisa Rehurek, the #1 sought-after authority on RFP success. And every week we bring you information, strategies, or resources to help you win more business through RFPs and hopefully have a little more fun doing it. So let's get this week's episode started. And this week we are going through another success strategy. And this is when I share a very specific learning moment with you. And today we're talking about proving that you want it. And what do I mean by that? Well, here's the deal. I review a lot of RFPs. I review a lot of them. And we get so good at answering the questions that sometimes we forget to go over and above to make it really pop, to really make that RFP response showcase that we want the business. So when you're bidding on something, here's the deal. Do more than just show them that you can do it. It's like going to a mechanic, right? Any viable mechanic can change your oil or replace your air filter. For the most part, if you're marketing yourself as a mechanic, you should be able to do that stuff, right? But why would you go to one over another? And that's really what we want to get to. We want to get to instilling in the evaluators the confidence that not only can we do it, but that we are the premier choice, that we want to get to the point where they really want us. And if you have any sort of viable competition, so yeah, sometimes maybe it's just you submitting an RFP, that doesn't happen very often, or maybe it's just they're going off of low bidder, and so you've got to be the Walmart of your industry, whatever that is, and you've got to go low bid and they're not going to care about anything else. Those instances are fewer and far between. Most of the time you've got viable competition and you've really got to show that you're better than just good. I mean, I read a lot of RFPs where I can see, yeah, absolutely they can do this. But if I'm hiring somebody, I want to know more than that you can just do this. So how are you showing your greatness? How are you showing them that you want the business without, by the way, there's a caveat here because we also don't want to come across desperate or manipulative. So that's what we want to talk about, proving that you want it and doing it in a way that doesn't sound desperate or manipulative. The other thing that I want to kind of toss in here before I go into some key points on how to do that is that if you are the incumbent, so if this is your contract, you've got the contract, please, for the love of Pete, do not rest on that. Don't take it for granted. You have the upper hand, so now you want to show that. You should know more than all of your competitors, but don't assume that the evaluators know that, or that they'll remember that, or that they don't want to be reminded of that. So first of all, you want to make it apparent that you want it back, and you want to remind them why they chose you in the first place and why they want to continue with you. So I see it a lot, you guys. I see it so often that when I'm reviewing an RFP that is for an incumbent spot, it's boring. It's like you're bidding on this business for the first time ever. No. Toss in some information there about the fact that we've been partnering with you for the last 2 years. And here's why our partnership has worked. And here's why working with Helen has been so great. And here's some of the outcomes that we've accomplished for you. And here's what we'll continue to do. And you better know going into that, by the way, that that is a strong relationship. So in your little tickler file, about 6 months before you know an RFP is coming out, you better be doing a client satisfaction survey. You should be doing them twice a year anyway, but particularly if you know that bid is coming out, because you do not want to be surprised by what they might think of you that you don't know. So that's if you're the incumbent. So all of these tips that I'm going to give you matter whether you're the incumbent or not. These are things that you need to take into consideration and that you need to incorporate into your responses. So the first one is to ask questions that make them think. So you don't want to ask a question that's going to make them feel dumb, but ask a question that makes them think about different ways to do things. So this is particularly powerful when you are trying to unseat an incumbent. So if there's another person in there and you're trying to get rid of them and you're trying to come in and take over their contract, asking powerful questions that make them really think about whether they're getting the value in their current contractor without throwing that current contractor under the bus. You've got to know what you're doing here. You've got to know how they're going to answer the question. You've got to know that your competitor isn't doing those things. But if you bring a different type of value to the game, then that's how you can do that without throwing your competitors under the bus. You can really ask some powerful questions to make them think. Even if you're not trying to unseat an incumbent, asking powerful questions that make them think is a really great way to go over and above just answering the questions. So you can answer their question that they've asked, and then let's say that you see things that maybe they're missing or that they haven't answered so you can't address. You can ask some questions. You can make a statement like, once we are selected as the contractor, one of the first things we like to do is get together and have a strategy meeting and talk about what's to come. And here's some key powerful questions that we're going to want to ask you that we don't see addressed in this proposal. And this just gives you, again, it shows an extra value add, and it shows that you're going a little bit above and beyond, and it gives them a little bit of a sense of how it's going to be to work with you. All right, so ask those powerful questions. The other thing that you should do is, and I say this in any context, you've got to know and showcase your differentiators. So what makes you the right solution? You don't have to talk about why your competitors are the wrong solution, because only those who lack confidence need to do that. You never want to throw your competitors under the bus, because that actually showcases poorly on you. But you want to showcase why you are the right people to work with, and those differentiators are how. And you've got to tie that value and the differentiator of you back to what they need. This isn't just about saying, oh, we're better because we're faster. Well, if this company doesn't value fastness, quickness, then you're just speaking to a brick wall. So you've got to know your differentiators in relation to the value that your client needs, in relation to the solution that your client needs. And then when you know that, that's why you got to do your homework up front that I always talk about. You are tailoring your solution to them. And I guarantee you guys, your competitors are not doing that. 99% of the time, 9 out of 10 times, the competitors are not going to be doing that, because it takes time and effort, and people are just not doing that unless they're working with me, to be honest with you. So make sure that you are really focusing on the solution as your client sees it, not as you see it, and really using that to showcase how you guys are better. And that's another way to do it. Then number three is to remind them why. This is really when you're the incumbent. Remind them why your partnership works. Remind them about all the great things. I talked about that at the onset of this call. So you just really want to remind them of that. Another thing, give them reasons why your company is the best fit. Sometimes there's a really strong mission alignment. And I love it when people can find this. If you can find any sort of a connection to what their mission is or their values are to what your mission and values are, you can connect the dots there. You can connect the dots to anything that your company might have in common with them. So anything that you can find like some common ground is a really great way to kind of stand out above. And it shows that you've done your homework, which kind of subconsciously tells me you really want the business. All right. And then tell them why you want to work with them. And this again doesn't need to be like, we want to work with you because you're the largest company or we really want your business. It doesn't have to be that. That all kind of reeks desperation. But what you want to do is talk about, maybe again, if your mission aligns with theirs, or you believe in the same causes, or you both have an innovative outlook. Like, we are a very innovative company. We know you're a very innovative company. So our thought process around innovation really aligns. So these are the kinds of things that you can say to prove to them that you want it. It goes above and beyond just answering the question and showing that you are the good choice, that you can do the work. Fine, you can do it. You can change the air filter. But how are you going to make me a better car owner? How are you going to make it so that I want to come back to you and that you are really the only one that I want to hire to change my oil or my air filter or whatever it is? All right. So again, asking questions that make them think, making sure that you're really showcasing your differentiators, that these are going to be different than your competitors' differentiators, and they are going to be specific to this opportunity. Give them reasons why your company is the best fit. Tell them why you want to work with them. And then if you are the incumbent, remind them why the partnership works. Paint a picture, give them some stories, some hard facts, things like that. Especially when you're the incumbent, those stories are important. You think that they remember them, but they probably don't, especially if you've got long contracts. If you're somebody that is dealing with a 2, 3, 5-year contract, they don't remember something that happened 4 years ago. And frankly, you might not either. And it's a really great opportunity for you to start thinking about how can you track that stuff so that the next time this comes up for bid, you have that information. So you should be thinking about renewing. Gosh, I got to do a whole podcast just on renewing because I keep coming back to that. But if you're renewing a contract over and over and over again, the work does not stop as soon as you get that contract. There are things you should be tracking all the way throughout: customer satisfaction, some of those stories, specific outcomes, and proof points. Any of that you should be tracking all along so that when the RFP comes out, you are so well positioned to make a splash there. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Implement some of this. It's really going to help you stand out so that you're not just seen as they can do this, but you're seen as wow, I know they can do this, but I know they're going to go over and above, and this is going to be better than anything we've ever had. That's really what you want. All right. Thanks for joining us today. You have been listening to the RFP Success Show. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please make sure you do that. Click on the subscribe button. We always appreciate reviews, as I say every week. We love, love, love reviews from you because it helps us keep going and know that what we're doing is reaching you and giving you the information that you want. So thanks a lot. Thanks for spending time with us. We'll see you next week.
You have been listening to the RFP Success Show with RFP expert Lisa Rehurek, author of the RFP Success book. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, make sure you click the subscribe button so you don't miss a show. And thanks for spending time with us today.